Pantheon is the new mysterious villain of Black Ops 6, but Call of Duty has accidentally revealed some information about Pantheon, and we know so much more about them. Pantheon is brainwashing people, creating new chemical agents, and they are directly responsible for Alex Mason's death. So for those of y'all who don't know, I am Icebergs, your Call of Duty informant, and let's dive right into the info you need to know. Now, Pantheon is this new mysterious villain group in Black Ops 6, a secret organization within the CIA, kind of a Russian nesting doll of secret organizations, if you will. Pantheon, however, has been working from the shadows for a while now, and you probably didn't know they are directly tied to Raul Menendez and helped kill Alex Mason and Jason Hudson. But they are a relatively new organization in Black Ops 6, with Call of Duty even heavily implying that Pantheon is an after effect of Stitch's number broadcast in the post-launch story of Black Ops Cold War. Call of Duty even directly stated in their Call of Duty podcast that the post-launch story of Black Ops Cold War sets the stage for most of Black Ops 6. Now, what makes Pantheon interesting is that they have direct ties to Raul Menendez. In Black Ops 2, we learned that there was a mole in the CIA who had been feeding intel to Raul Menendez and had set up Jason Hudson and Alex Mason to be killed. Now, we never learned the identity of the mole because it wasn't a single person in the CIA, it was an organization, something Call of Duty just recently confirmed with their new video kind of giving you a history of Black Ops. Now, the mole in the CIA was Pantheon, but they were trying to help Menendez by getting Alex Mason and Jason Hudson killed. They gave Raul Menendez the information he needed to know to exact his revenge, but Pantheon only wanted Alex Mason and Jason Hudson dead for a different reason. Hudson and Mason were two of the only 3 people on Earth who knew how the Russian numbers brainwashing sequence worked, and they knew how to reverse it. The only other person in the world who knew about the numbers and how to reverse it is Russell Adler, who we learned at the beginning of Black Ops 6 has been framed by Pantheon as the mole who got Hudson and Mason killed. And it would be really easy to frame Russell Adler, considering we know canonically he did blow up large parts of Verdansk. On top of this, he was compromised by the brainwashing Stitch did to him in 1984. If you were to frame a formerly compromised agent who has a history of irrational behavior and couldn't be fully trusted as a mole, it would be a piece of cake. And in a single stroke, Pantheon managed to wipe out every person who could stop their plan off the board. That plan I'll talk about here in a second, but Hudson and Mason were killed in Panama in 1989. Russell Adler was a few months later framed as a mole. However, Pantheon's interest in the number sequence has been a long time coming, and considering Call of Duty has implied Pantheon was created by the Stitch's number broadcast sequence, it makes it even more interesting to note that we know in Black Ops 6, Pantheon has taken control of the Vorkuta prison, the last place on Earth with information about the numbers brainwashing program. Looking back at it, the only other 2 locations with info on the numbers program were Mount Yamantau and the underwater USSR submarine base. The underwater base got destroyed in Black Ops 1, and Mount Yamantau was destroyed by a small-yield nuke in the post-launch story of Cold War. It's even more interesting. Based on what we know about Pantheon, they have a similar goal to Dragovich, to use sleeper agents, or mind control agents if you will, to set off a series of chemical weapons throughout major cities in the world. But Pantheon has created a new chemical weapon to have brainwashed sleeper agents activate worldwide, and it's completely different from anything we've ever seen before. But Pantheon have a more powerful version of their brainwashing that they have reserved for special cases. And tell me in the comments down below if you want to know about the secret brainwashing of a main character in Black Ops 6. But anyways, this new chemical weapon that Pantheon has developed is something entirely different from anything we have ever seen before. While Nikita Dragovich's goal was to poison and kill large portions of the American population with Nova 6 in advance of a Russian invasion of the United States, this new chemical weapon Pantheon has developed is entirely different. It's in fact a neural inhibitor and a hallucinogenic weapon. A weapon that causes people to visualize and then attempt to fight something they fear. Kind of like the fear toxin that Scarecrow uses in the Batman comics and movies. However, instead of being afraid of what they hallucinate, they become violent. And this is backed up by a couple things, including a couple things that happen to your character in the trailers we see in Black Ops 6. First off, we know Pantheon gave this new chemical weapon to Saddam Hussein to test during the first Gulf War, as it said in the trailer right here.
It's a biological weapon. And they put this in Saddam's hands too?
Isn't that your friend?
But in the trailers, we specifically see that there is a sealed container containing a diorama of some city or town, and it appears to be a scaled-down version for testing, hinting that Pantheon intends to use this weapon in high-population areas, and we're likely testing the effects on rats in a mock city. But it's the following couple of sequences that prove that this weapon inhibits hallucinations and an urge to fight. First off, we see this hallucination of the character you play as, Case, being picked up and choked by a mannequin that for some reason looks a lot like Russell Adler. However, in these scenes from a different trailer, we see that your character is envisioning a horror zombie-like creatures that are trying to kill him, and he's trying to kill this mannequin. We see that the sequence continues from where we were earlier getting choked, with him running after this mannequin, but interestingly, we see a bunch of colored gas clouds around the room as he runs, hinting that he's being infected or kind of being intoxicated by some gas in the air. We then see that Case is running around with a hatchet trying to kill this mannequin, but where it gets interesting is right here. This massive brute character with a skull-like face and completely pitch black is not actually a zombie, but if you look closely, a juggernaut. It has the same armor and ammo feed system as the juggernaut that we see here in this other trailer. It's almost identical, but almost horrorized. Your character Case is picturing it as a dark, violent abomination rather than a juggernaut. We then see this spiral snake-like creature with a badge around his neck swimming through black glue. The substance appears all over the ground around him, and it's apparent Trace is trying to kill this creature and get its keycard. But the scene that reveals the most about this weapon is actually the one we don't see, except for a few glimpses where it shows some scientists in our lab testing out this chemical weapon on someone in a test chamber. Now, what makes this interesting is the fact that we get this reaction right here from Marshall when someone asked,
Isn't that your friend?
telling us someone Marshall knows is in fact helping Pantheon develop and use this chemical weapon. Someone he considers a friend. Someone who's actually a mole working against the rogue Black Ops team, and you can't trust anyone in Black Ops 6. And if you want to know who that traitor in the rogue Black Ops team is, subscribe for that video releasing tomorrow, and until next time, I'm Icebergs. Stay frosty.